Good morning, South Africa and Zimbabwe. This is our first morning webinar, so I hope you've got your coffee ready with you. I've got my coffee here, sitting here in Perth in Australia, and then we've got our lovely Bellevue College, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen a couple of names that we saw in the first webinar that we did with Bellevue. They're one of our new partners, a great affordable location. They've got some fantastic businesses that are surrounding the area that they're located in. And it's a really beautiful area as well. And I want everyone to kind of do pay attention to this presentation, because there'll be some tips and tricks that you need to look for your application. Beta, who's the international officer there who works with us on a day-to-day basis, she really knows what it takes to be successful in the United States. Also, the different pathways that they'll talk about that lead to different universities. It's actually really worth listening into on that. And from somebody who's actually lived in the States as well, she's done it herself and she's experienced the international education side of things. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Beta. Thank you, Beta, for joining us. I know it's late your side, so maybe not having a
Thank you so much, George. Let me go ahead first and share my screen. And thank you so much, everyone who's joining us today. My name is Beta Anderson, and I work as an international recruiter for Bellevue College. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the Bellevue College and maybe perhaps why you should choose Bellevue College as your destination to come and study here, as well as explain to you a little bit about the educational system in the United States. So let's get started. So to give you a brief overview, in the United States, after, of course, completing elementary school, then students move on into the high schools. After high schools, there are several different ways students can continue their education. They can move and start education at the vocational and trade schools, where they would study non-degree programs or certificate programs. Another option is to choose a community college, which is a 2-year college. It's very known in the United States. A lot of students choose this option first. And even though Bellevue College kind of falls into the community college category, it does also falls into the kind of a university as well, because we do offer a 4-year degrees. The 4-year degrees are offered at the community at the universities. A lot of community colleges have only 2-year degrees, such as associate degrees, but Bellevue College does offer some bachelor's degrees as well. We do not offer the master's programs. So this is something that kind of separates us from the university themselves. And then lastly, you have university. So you can go straight to the university for 4 years to complete the bachelor's degrees right away. However, you opportunities in comparison, if you would have chosen coming to community college such as Bellevue College first. And after getting the bachelor's degree, students move on for the master's programs. Those are usually about 2 years, depends if you study full-time or part-time. And lastly, students can also, after a master's program, continue into the doctoral programs. And those also kind of varies in length. Definitely not less than 2 years, 2+ years will take student to complete that. So again, we do have all those kind of that are in blue, because we do have a high school completion program in her school. We do have some non-degree programs, certificate programs. We have 2-year programs, associate degree programs, and we also have a bachelor's degree at Bellevue College. But we don't have the master's programs or doctoral programs. So how I was mentioning opportunities of attending community college first versus four-year university. For example, the required admissions are easier. So at Bellevue College, you can apply 4 times a year, where in some other universities you can apply only once a year or twice a year. So you have this opportunity of like, start your education a little sooner, or even come here and started and then acclimated to United States. Also, the requirement for TOEFL is 61, where at some universities requires 92. So again, you don't have to score as high to get to the university, because you can just start at Bellevue College first. Also, of course, affordability as well. So the cost at studying at Bellevue College is cheaper than at the four-year university, and it's a significant amount. So that's something to definitely consider. The next thing will be a smaller class size. So approximately the student ratio is about 23 students per class. And again, while coming to United States to study for the first time, and not even being in the United States before, it's a good thing to actually start the community college first, because you will be taking the general education courses, no matter if you end the four-year university or at the community college, for the first 2 years. So why to not have the opportunity to pay a little less, and also be in a classroom with less students, and get to know your professor better and your community, and just adjust to the living in the United States. And lastly, the progress. So students who are transferring, there have more admission opportunities. So the transfer versus freshman admission rate at 61% versus the 43%. So again, when you started the Bellevue College, for example, and you will transfer to the four-year university, your acceptance rate will be higher than if you would apply from the beginning. And some and again, if you come to schools such as Bellevue College, you will also have a transfer fairs. So you will get to know other representatives from other schools, because we do have a transfer fairs twice a year. So you can kind of talk to them and then decide what school is the best for you to transfer to. And another opportunity or another benefit of attending community college such as Bellevue College is a 2-year of OPT, optional practical training. This is a program for students that they can do after they complete a degree. So if student comes to Bellevue College and completes an associate degree, and they don't want to necessarily move right away into a four-year university to study for another 2 years to get a bachelor's degree, and they maybe are interested more in working, getting some work experience, they can do that after associate degree. And after completing a 1 year of OPT, they can transfer, do 2 years, get a bachelor's degree, and they can do another OPT. So they can do OPT twice. But if the student will choose to go to the university to just go straight for 4 years, then they will only get that bachelor's degree after studying for 4 years, and they will only have opportunity to do OPT once. So this is definitely a big deciding factor for a lot of students, because as mentioned, students want to sometimes get that work experience as well, and not just once, but sometimes twice. Moving on, so let's talk a little bit about our beautiful city, city of Bellevue. And Bellevue College is located in Bellevue, Washington, so it's easy to remember the name. Often a U.S. consular at the visa interview asks students where their school is located. So if you know you're going to Bellevue College, you will know it's in Bellevue, Washington. And Bellevue, Washington, is close to Seattle. It's about 15 minutes drive to downtown Seattle. It's also about 20 minutes drive from SeaTac International Airport. So it's a very, very convenient location. Let's not forget that we are also located within 10 minutes drive from very known tech companies such as Expedia, T-Mobile, Amazon, Microsoft. And of course, a lot of our students who maybe came to Bellevue College to study, some of them end up working or having internships at those companies. Moreover, Bellevue College, Bellevue City is also very safe, and it's a wealthy city as well. And also was considered the best 10 cities to live in and the safest in the United States. As you can see on the picture, it does have high rises, it does have a lot of modern buildings, but also it has a very beautiful park, and there's a lot of walking. Students, people can walk, can explore, so there's kind of a little bit for everyone. And in 2019, so just even most recent, Bellevue City won the best school district in Washington State. And here is the picture of our beautiful library at Bellevue College. So a little bit about the Bellevue College itself. Bellevue College has been founded in 1966, and it's accredited public school. It's actually the largest school among two-year community colleges in Washington State. So it's among 34 two-year colleges. And we do offer a lot of programs. So there's something for almost everyone to choose from. We do have associate degrees, university transfer and professional technical degrees. We do have applied bachelor's degrees, certificates, and non-degree programs. And again, we do have the small faculty ratio, which is again about 23 students per one faculty member. And we do have about 900 students, international students, and they are representing 60 different countries. And we do have a housing on campus. That's also an important factor for a lot of students who coming and wanting to study at Bellevue College. Having the ability to live on campus and be close to all the buildings and go to classes, it's important. So we do have a residence hall on campus available for students as well. And students who are international or domestic live in our housing. So let's talk a little bit about our programs and how it works. So first of all, at Bellevue College, you will study per quarter. So there are quarters. We are in a quarter system and not semesters like some of the schools and different areas in the United States. So you can apply for fall, winter, spring, and summer. So every few months, and the new term begins, and that gives you again possibility of applying faster. And even if you didn't think about it, you maybe were thinking, oh, I need to wait till next year, next fall, because I thought that was it. Then not necessarily. Now you can change your plans, and maybe you would be interested for applying for summer. So again, there are a lot of options. So the times start in January, September, January, or April. So that's when the terms would start for each quarter. Let's talk a little bit about applying to Bellevue College and then what program. So we do have students who apply to Bellevue College. They need to submit some specific documents, such as bank statement, most recent transcript, and bank statement, most recent transcript, and proof. I already said bank statement, most recent transcript, and I'm forgetting the third thing. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the third thing. Anyhow, so I'm sure I have on the next slide what was the third document for you to submit. But after you submit those 3 documents, you have an opportunity to submit proof of English proficiency. If you don't submit proof of English proficiency, then you will be accepted into ESL program. Our ESL program is 5 levels program, and this program is for about 20 hours per week, and the completion time is about 9 to 12 months. So after you arrive to Bellevue College, you will take the test. And based on the results of the test, you will be placed in the specific level of the ESL program. So you might place in level 4, for example. So that means that you will do level 4, level 5, and then you kind of done with the ESL program and you're moving on into the bridge program. So if you would like to start in the bridge program right away, you can submit proof of English proficiency. So this is like additional document that it's not required, but it's optional, but definitely can also speed up your process if you want to not maybe necessarily take ESL program. So for TOEFL, requirement scored is 58 to be placed right away into the bridge program, or again, the completion of level 5 of ESL. This bridge program is only 1 quarter. It's a college prep courses. So you just take some classes to prepare you for the college level. And after you complete the bridge program, you can then start taking the college level courses. To start at the associate degree, for example, you will have to do, you will need to submit TOEFL of 61. And here you will be taking general education classes, and of course, some classes towards your chosen major. There are some other requirements also for proof of English proficiency. Some countries where the language, for example, English is the official language, those students, if they submitted a copy of passport ID page, and this is the third document, so copy of passport ID page, bank statement, and a transcript. So if one of the countries, we have a list of the countries that are listed that we can waive that English proficiency requirements. If you in those countries, then you don't even have to worry about submitting proof of English proficiency. And lastly, students can do the applied bachelor's degree at Bellevue College, and more international students are choosing to stay with us and continue to complete their bachelor's degree with us. And to do this one, a student needs to have a completion of associate degree and the TOEFL of 61. So moving along, let's talk a little bit about our transfer associate degree, since this one it's still pretty popular. One of the popular programs that our students choosing. So it's a transfer associate degree, meaning that 2 years you will study at Bellevue College, and you would receive an associate degree, and then you will transfer to another 2-year university, and you will study for 2 more years to get a bachelor's degree at the college or a university. And together that's 4 years. So kind of this is what I was mentioning earlier today, how you can choose to come and study for 2 years first at the community college, so the Bellevue College, and then transfer, or you can just choose to go straight to the 4-year university, but keep in mind the cost is much higher. And you, of course, missing on some other benefits such as OPT, where you could have twice OPT while studying at a community college. So how does university transfer process works? So again, students who want to complete traditional 4-year bachelor's degree, they can definitely choose this path because they will take general education courses in year 1. Then in year 2, they will do some continue with the general education courses. They will earn an associate degree and transfer to the university. And of course, they also will be taking some classes towards their chosen major, and those classes are transferable, so they will transfer to the 4-year university, where students will not have to retake those. They will just be taking new classes towards their major. So this is kind of what it looks like. And we do have partnerships with several different universities too. Or if you don't want to transfer to any universities that we partner with, you can always transfer to another university too. The difference is that if you would choose the university we partner with, you will get a conditional acceptance letter at the time of applying to Bellevue College. If you would choose a university later on, towards finishing at Bellevue College, then you just have to follow all the requirements and apply to the school you chose to transfer to. So this is kind of, again, a summary, a little bit of what I was just talking about. Right now, the biggest feeder college is Bellevue College is the biggest feeder college of University of Washington, meaning that most of the students who decide to transfer, they transfer to University of Washington. University of Washington is about 15 minutes drive from Bellevue College, so it's close by. So as you can see, in 2019, 311 Bellevue College students transferred to University of Washington. And also in 2019, Bellevue College students also transferred to UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, University of Illinois, or Urbana-Champaign, and etc. So there is, again, a lot of schools that our students are transferring to, no matter where. It's not necessary on the west side of the United States, sometimes the east side, Midwest. So students transfer everywhere. And the other option kind of is also that you can just stay with Bellevue College and do 2 years at Bellevue College and earn your associate's degree, and then do 2 years and earn your bachelor's degree. And that completes the 4 years as well. Okay, a little bit more about Bellevue College is that we are a very active community with a lot of activities, a lot of clubs. There is about 80 active clubs that you can join. So really everything, I mean, not everything, but I'm sure a lot of you would find a club that you would want to join. Also, you can start one as well. So if you don't see a club among those 80 clubs you can that you would like to join, you can start your own as well. Yeah, we do have a lot of events. We starting to have more events in person. Some of them, of course, a lot of them, most of them in the last year and a half were virtual. But just recently we did have for new students arriving, we did have some event on campus in person for students. You can always join us on social media, you can follow us, and you can observe the events, you can join us, you can see what's happening, and I encourage you to do that. On our social media, there are also student testimonials, new students, also our alumni students, our current students. So you can find out more about why students chose Bellevue College, how their experience is at Bellevue College, and maybe from alumni who talks about what they're doing now and where they're working, and etc. So again, we do have a on-campus housing, but we also have other options as well for students. Our brand new student housing was completed in 2018, and it's very nice. It's almost brand new, and has 5 floors, 8 different layouts. It's apartment style. Again, there's no commute. You can just walk to all your classes. And utilities are included in your monthly rent, which is really good. You need to be at least 17 years old to live in the housing. However, to attend Bellevue College, you need to be at least 16 years old. So if you're 16 years old and you want to start studying at Bellevue College, and at the time you coming to Bellevue College, you're still 16 years old, then you would have to wait a year to apply for housing until you're 17 years old. So other options are, of course, homestay. Here you will get a room, you would have meals and utilities included in your monthly rent, and you will be living with a host family. And here would be a little commute, depends where you live. It says on average one-way commute, it's 1 hour, but I don't think that's that much accurate. Depends, of course, where the host family lives. It can be up to an hour, but it can be as close as 20-30 minutes. So it's not that bad. And lastly, there's, of course, off-campus rent, where you can find a room in the shared apartment with other tenants, and you can split the cost of rent and also utilities. And here also you will have some commute, depends on where you will decide to live. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our application requirements and process. So again, we accept students 4 times a year for fall, winter, spring, and summer. The application deadline for winter term, it's actually coming up, which is November 22nd. So by that date, if you would be interested for coming for winter term, but that day you need to have all your documents submitted. However, if that's too soon for you and you're thinking more about spring or summer term, or even next fall, our application is open. So you can always start your application and even complete it, be admitted, and not worry about it. Again, you need to be at least 16 years old. You would fill out the online international student application form. Everything is online. So you will complete that form and submit the required documents, such as bank statement, transcript, a copy of passport ID page. And again, you might not even need to submit the proof of English proficiency. And after you apply to Bellevue College and you're admitted, so if all the documents look good, you will be issued an acceptance letter with I-20, and then you will be applying for your F1 visa, and you would go for your visa interview. And then when you get your visa interview, you will do a pre-arrival orientation. You will arrange your flight and apply for housing. Then we have a group orientation, testing, and payment. That's after you arrive to Bellevue College, and then the classes will start. Okay, so that was all from me. And now I'm open for any questions you might have.
Peter, thank you very much for that presentation. And I know it's late for you as well, so we'll get through these questions very quickly here. And to anybody listening in, if you'd like to put them in, please put them in the chat box in the Q&A section. I know that that presentation was very well done. There was a lot of information that's there. And just for people listening on the recording, Global will help you with your entire application process with Bellevue as well. So please, I know there was a lot to take in there, but do reach out to us for that one-to-one conversation, as well as getting you in touch with Beta as well, who's great to explain this again. Beta, with studying in Washington State, to give context to a lot of South Africans and Zimbabweans who are used to beautiful landscape and beautiful outdoors, where we come from, what's Washington State like? Is it a big outdoor city? Is it big cities or is it big outdoors? If you could just go into that.
Yeah. So Washington State is really a very beautiful state. It does have a lot of outdoorsy stuff, such as in the winter, you can go skiing, snowboarding, you can go hiking. In the summer, you can do paddleboarding, kayaking. So there are lakes in Washington State, there are mountains in Washington State. And also there are big cities too. Seattle itself is a big city, but also Bellevue is a very big city too. So I feel there's a lot of parks. We are also pretty close to Vancouver, Canada, about 3 hours drive. So sometimes students will drive there too, just for the weekend, to just visit another country. So there is definitely a lot to do in Washington State. You definitely won't get bored, that's for sure.
In terms of when studying at Bellevue, and I know it's the word of the last 18 months, how was the pandemic for Bellevue? Did they go to a hybrid model? Were they completely away from studies? And what's actually happening now, if you wouldn't mind going into that?
Yes, so Bellevue College kind of reopened for this fall quarter, and we are open to the public 2 times a week. So students can come and visit us in person in some of the offices. The modality of classes is still hybrid with some classes on campus, but majority still online or kind of half and half. Definitely, I was on campus today. I was walking on campus. There were students walking on campus. There are some facilities open, such as cafe, housing. So we are moving slowly into the direction, good direction. As I mentioned, there was an event for students last week in person as well, outdoors. So masks are required inside. Outside are optional. The one big thing, though, that it's important to mention right now is that Bellevue College became fully vaccinated place. So all faculty and all employees and all students need to be vaccinated.
Brilliant.
However, there are, sorry, just gonna add, I don't want to stress out the students. If you arrive and you don't have your vaccine, there's a lot of places that you can get vaccine in Washington State.
No, thank you, but I think it's worth mentioning that to ease a lot of parents who are listening in on this webinar as well, that they're sending their kids to a really safe place that's really done a lot to help their students. In terms of the support structure for students, but a lot of questions that we get at Global is how are students supported? Is there a career services department? Is there mental health support that's being helped to the students, counseling and things like that? What actually happens at Bellevue, and is it online or is it a building that they can go to?
Yeah, so again, yeah, we do have all those services you mentioned for students. Of course, their health is very important to us, and we want to make sure that they feel safe, healthy, and that if they need help, we there for them. So students definitely now can schedule some in-person meetings as well. If not, there's still options for virtual. Kind of depends on the departments and their ability, what they chose to do. Maybe not every single department decided to be open in person, but there's definitely more flexibility, and I would be always happy to connect the student with someone, and I know they will get they will hear back from someone to connect and help them in any way they need help with.
Yeah, it's something that I always tell students when I'm counseling them is take advantage of those services, to have somebody helping with your CV, career, networking, and all the work that universities do to help to help students get employed. It really is important. One of the questions we get with a lot of South Africans and Zimbabweans is, what is OPT, and does that really lead to a proper job, and is it real work experience? It's something that we get questions quite often about the United States. Could you just go a little bit more into the OPT and why it's important to consider it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so OPT stands for optional practical training, and it is a program approved by the US government for students to be able to work up to a year in the United States full time. And even if the student, for example, studies in Washington State, but they apply for the program and they find a job in a different state, that's fine as well. So it really does allow student to find a job. Student needs to be responsible actually for finding a job. So it's a real experience. And yeah, and they can work full time for whatever employer they find a job at, and up to a year to get that experience. Of course, a lot of our students choose that option because there's a lot of good companies in Washington State. So some want to go to do the OPT program after getting an associate degree to even work and then save money for their finishing education to get a bachelor's degree. So yeah, so this is basically OPT program where it sounds I don't know, it sounds like some kind of specific program, but it's really a kind of permission for students to study, I'm sorry, to work at the United States, and gain not just experience, but also make some money.
Mm. And that probably leads to my next question here. With those incredible companies, the likes of Microsoft and Amazon that are near Bellevue there, in the area, and then you've also got the bigger cities like Seattle that's there. In terms of OPT, do a lot of those businesses connected with Bellevue, and will there be like career fairs where students from South Africa could meet these businesses at Bellevue?
Yeah, so we do have a career center, so we definitely have a lot of jobs there, and the students can always go schedule an appointment, and the people at the career center, they can help the student apply, or maybe talk to them and even try to figure out what direction to go to or what jobs to apply for. Recently, of course, due to COVID, we didn't have really like a fair with other companies. In the past we did, so hopefully that will be coming up in the future. We do have some alumni students who study at Bellevue College, and they do work at some of those companies. I also talked to a student who did internship in some of those companies like Microsoft or Amazon. So yeah, there's some opportunities
To
here.
go for. Yeah, it's for me, it's an incredible opportunity when you listen to Bellevue College, especially in terms of not just the price level, because it is relatively cheaper than a lot of or what we call the mainstream universities that South Africans and Zimbabweans are aware of. But to get that associate's degree and then that 2-year college degree at that price is an incredible opportunity for a lot of people that are affected by COVID and the expensive travel costs that are now worldwide. In terms of going to another university, you mentioned that you would apply and get a conditional offer from those connected universities to Bellevue. Could we share that slide again from your screen and just go through those universities and just explain who they are? Because there's some real big ones that you had there, like Washington State. And is that by Bellevue themselves, or do those universities want to work with Bellevue? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, let me actually pull up another quick thing, because so we do have partnership with 17 universities. And let me just open something different very fast. Okay.
Just while we wait for Beta to get that slide ready, and the reason why we want to bring that up is you really have a lot of options to choose from, especially if you're undecided about where in the United States you want to complete your degree. And if you can't get direct entry, this is a real good option for a lot of students.
Yeah, so one moment. There's just not all the universities will be listed here on that slide. Let me one moment. I will share it again. Okay. Yeah. This slide, probably that's the only slide. Yeah, so again, as you can see, there are just few listed, but we do have 17 universities that we partner with. And how that works, again, when a student applies to Bellevue College and they choose one of those 17 schools, they will get a conditional admissions to that school. And that also helps students while going for a visa interview, because often the counselor asks a question: what is your plan after completing associate degree at Bellevue College? And students, of course, say that they want to transfer to the four-year university, but it really helps when the U.S. counselor can see the document or even student can say, yeah, I'm transferring to this school and I already have my conditional acceptance letter. So it's easier for them to envision that the student already has a plan, so they don't have to kind of ask them additional questions or think about it, what they really gonna do after getting an associate degree.
Yeah, and that's the reason I wanted you to bring this up again, was exactly for that point. You know, it's so important for that visa process, especially coming from South Africa and Zimbabwe, that you've got a plan in place for all of these interviews and questions, which is going to affect whether you can study in the United States. So, Beta, thank you so much for bringing that up. And everybody listening in on this presentation, we will be sharing all of this information again. And as always, we're available for any consultations with you to understand it better as well. But I know you, it's a late one, it's almost midnight your side. So we wanted to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
One question, I'm just going to put up our contact slide here. And while I do that, I wanted to ask you one question about, and I think last time you told us to go for a view of a famous hike in near Bellevue. And this time I want to know something more in the city. Where's one place students should visit when they get to Bellevue? Don't say a pub or get in trouble with some parents.
One place to visit in Bellevue?
Yeah.
Well, I think I would go for a walk in the park. There's a very nice park right downtown Bellevue, and it's a very nice landscape, and even though it's surrounded by high rises, it does have a feel of the park. So maybe kind of like a little replica of the main park in New York City, which is a lot of much bigger than the one here. But yeah, that would be probably one of the things I would like to go and visit, because you can really see a lot from this park. You can see the surrounding area, and you can just walk around, see other people walking around, even grab some cup of coffee. But yeah, so it's outdoorsy, but you kind of in the big city, so it has a lot of feeling to it.
Brilliant. Beta, thank you very much for your time. We all at Global appreciate your efforts and time in introducing Bellevue to all of us. I know we're in not even our first year of working with each other, so we're looking forward to helping grow the awareness of Bellevue in the region. To all the students listening in, please take a picture of that barcode, get in touch with us, and we'll get you in touch with Beta for a one-to-one conversation as well. So from all of us, thank you and keep safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining.